JB Cycles here with part 2 of the weekend edition of October the 21st. So now I have drawn two scenarios here for this coming week. Either in red we could see a washout, and that we would expect that to be related to something happening in Israel, Middle East perhaps, and then that should be a low, and then we should see a longer uptrend. Or if nothing bad happens, we could see most of the week being some kind of a bottom formation. So that's my two main scenarios here, and we should see early next week which one it is. Let's look at the calendar variation, the seasonal variation. And in blue we see it has a low late in October. And so going back, I thought this low was this seasonal low, and there was a danger for another low late in October, and it looks like that's what we're getting. A quick look at the cycles I've been following. I'm not looking that much on them in this video. So we have these three shorter term cycles and the composite, and we do not have a good correlation with this. And actually, you know, this one is starting to roll over in a couple of weeks and suggesting weakness for the rest of the year. But then we have some other cycles telling us slightly different picture. You know, it's these a bit longer term cycles, and the composite of these is rather suggesting weakness to coming weeks and then bullish into New Year. So I'm not looking more at those cycles. I'm rather looking at the market now, and what the market is telling me, not the cycles. So this is S&P daily data, and I'm looking at the yellow wavelet, and it still is suggesting, you know, watch out for more downside the coming days. But if we see the S&P starting to go sideways and making a bottom formation, that should be a signal for the pop in the 4-week cycle should come maybe this week or late in the week sometime. I'm also often looking at this purple wavelet, and that one is right now saying we are close to a top. However, these wavelets, they adjust when we get new data, and they can, if we suddenly get a rally, the wavelet can completely change. So from my experience here, well, I think what is going on here, I think this wavelet, if we start to make a bottom formation here, or if we first have a washout, anyway, we make some kind of low this coming week and we start to rally, I think this purple wavelet will then change, and we will have it will make a low around here, and then say we are now in an upswing. I've been talking about momentum, and that we had a very oversold condition here a couple of weeks ago, and when we get those very oversold conditions, we often have to make a bottom formation. And so an analog here could be this point, where we had a bounce almost up to this red average, and we made a lower low. And then we had this one, did reach the average, made a lower low and quite a washout. And then we had this low that made a double low. And I think that's what's going on here. We were very oversold, and in that condition you should expect a double low or a bottom formation. However, if we go back to this analog, we see we had quite a washout and a lower low. So I think, you know, that's a possible analog. If something bad happens this weekend, we could have such a washout early next week, and if we don't, we should start to see this as a double low. So it could be a washout and a lower low, or a double low. Yeah, the VIX cycle. So my wavelet for VIX, we did break out of this falling trend line, kind of broke out, backtasted, and another surge. So the wavelet is suggesting a top is coming, and the top in the wavelet should have been a low in the S&P, but still no sign of a reversal. Let's see, what do we have next? Let's go to the hourly data. So what's really going on here? Well, as I showed with these symmetries in the S&P, we have something similar here. We started at this point, we had buying up to there, and then selling into this point. So the symmetry worked, but it was a bullish sideways consolidation. Here the next one, buying into this point and selling into here, and it worked again. If we now look at this point, if we just had made a top here and a real low here, we could have seen something bullish, but oh no, we had to make a failing rally all the way into this point, and then we were punished to the downside into this point. And here the symmetry, let's put it somewhere here. If this was just a dead cat and we had just crashed down into a double low here, it could have been bullish, it went over. But oh no, we had to buy the dip and make a failing rally into this point, and the symmetry suggests, it could be a low around the end of this coming week. So looking at the wavelets, well, I would say the easy downside here is over. So if I was a short seller, I would probably have preferred to be out of the market now in cash. But if I was a buyer here and I wanted to go long, I would not trust this to be a low. I would like to see some kind of a formation like this. So either first another flush down on Monday, and then start to see some kind of a sideways action, perhaps a bit lower low, and then I think we have the setup for going long. And I have my 2-week oscillation here. I'm not quite sure what's going on here. Do we have a oscillation that is very stretched out, or perhaps we started, maybe this one is like this and it was shortened and we are now in this one. Well, that would fit more with the other signals I'm getting. So perhaps we are in a quite bearish 2-week oscillation with a low expected around the end of this coming next week. Longer term Dow Jones, well, we did kind of have a big ABC here. We have broken this long trend line, back tested it, so it looks dangerous. But do I have something more? I think perhaps that was it. I think so. So my 2 scenarios here, zooming in. So can't be sure about the 4-week cycle. Will it snap back to this black old one? That would suggest a pop could come, in the middle or second half of this coming week. Or is it this new orange one? Then maybe have to wait for the pop early, not the coming week, but the week after. So we'll see. Hope this was helpful for you, and hope we will get a market that is a bit easier to navigate in. See you!